It's like a delicate balance of serving the audience that you have and the content that they want to see, and then creating content that's going to get a lot of views and get a lot of subscribers. I kind of lean more on creating content that serves the people that I have now and growing maybe a little bit slower than trying to create videos that I think are just going to get a ton of views and get me a ton of new subscribers.
Well, hello, YouTube Power Hour Squad. Erica here for another interview for you. So for this episode of the podcast, I am interviewing Lisa J Makeup. Now, Lisa J Makeup has been on YouTube for about 5 years, but interestingly enough, it wasn't until just recently where her channel started to take off. So this interview really shows that consistency is key, but also that at some point you do have to make tweaks and changes to your channel if you're not seeing the growth that you want. So Lisa J talks about the changes that she made to her channel to start getting her the growth that she wanted. And we also talk about how to start a beauty brand. One of the things that she did just recently is to launch her own line of makeup brushes. And she details exactly how she did that and how that's going for her. So this is a fantastic interview. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you're here on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, head on over to YouTube to check out the visuals of the interview. All right, I hope you enjoy this episode. Mwah. Well, hello, Lisa. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yes. So, I want to talk to you about your whole history on YouTube and everything, but why don't we just get started with you sharing just a brief Cliff Notes version of your journey so far on YouTube.
Sure. So I started YouTube when I was 8 months pregnant with my second daughter, Kate, who's now 5 years old. And I started it because at the time I was a makeup artist. I'd been a makeup artist for, like 12 years by then. But I was about to have my second daughter. So I was kind of seeing the end to my makeup artist days because I live in Austin, and a makeup artist here in Austin is pretty much weddings. That's the kind of work that we would have, was always on weekends. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that anymore, but I loved makeup, and I had just started watching YouTube myself, and I thought, well, it'll be fun to kind of, stretch that little creative muscle on YouTube. And so I just started uploading videos in her nursery when I was, about a month before she was born, and just continued to upload videos when I could. It was very much a hobby for a long time, for probably too long. And then around like year 3, something kind of switched in me, and I decided to put forth a little more energy and planning and be a little more strategic about my channel. And that was when I really started to see things grow. And then so I say adjust. It's actually, I celebrated my 5-year anniversary in May. And my channel is all about, so it's mainly beauty focused. 98% is beauty focused. I sprinkle in a little bit of fashion. Bless you.
Thank you.
I sprinkle a little bit of fashion and a little bit of fitness, because that's something else I'm passionate about. But my background, I started out in makeup actually working at the MAC counter. And when I ended up leaving MAC, I was a MAC trainer. So I was responsible for training all of the makeup artists in my region, which was 8 markets. There were 160 makeup artists. So I really loved that element of teaching makeup. And I loved like breaking it down in simple, understandable techniques and theories, and just making it easy to understand. Not just showing people how to do something, but explaining why we're doing it that way. And so I really tried to make all my tutorials really easy to follow, easy to understand, and just really educate. I feel like that's my main goal of my channel, is to educate women on makeup.
So you said, 3. So when you first started, you're 8 months pregnant, and so
yeah.
I was like, well, that's an interesting time to start a hobby like YouTube, And
Seriously.
So what happened when you say it was your daughter, right? When your daughter was born, you said it was kind of a hobby. So what do you mean by a hobby? Were you uploading once a month, once every other week, like what, or whenever you felt like it?
Whenever I felt like it and whenever I had time. So at the time, my oldest daughter was 2.5. So I was and I was a stay-at-home mom, but you know how stay-at-home moms of a 2.5-year-old are. You're busy until they go to bed.
Yeah.
So I was filming at night and I was editing, and I would say that first year I probably uploaded, I don't know. I mean, some months maybe 4 videos, some months maybe 2, some months maybe 6. It was just very inconsistent, just whenever I could find time.
Did you see any success early on at that point?
No, I didn't. I mean, I really didn't, but I was very, to be honest, I was pretty naive to YouTube. I had just started watching it myself. And I didn't really know how to measure success. I mean, I was just thrilled because I had people viewing my videos and leaving comments. And I didn't have like this big ambitious goal at that time. So looking back, no, I didn't really see success. But at the time, I didn't feel like I was not successful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. At the time, you were just kind of happy with what you were getting at the time.
Totally.
So that's what I was going to ask you. So if you didn't really see like a big jump in subscribers or like a big viral video, what was it that just kept you going with it?
I really loved it. Like I said, I had been doing makeup for years. I worked at Mac, and even when I left Mac, and I got like a corporate Monday through Friday 9-to-5 job, I was in that job for maybe 6 months, and I was like, I miss doing makeup. And so I had launched my wedding makeup business simply as a way to do it. I mean, I didn't do it because I needed the income. I had a full-time job at the time. This was way before kids. But that's how much I loved makeup. I was like, I have to find a way to have this in my life. So when I was about to have Kate, and I was seeing that, you know what, I can't do wedding makeup anymore. It's just sucking up my weekends. My husband's off we were just like trading shifts, I felt like.
Yeah.
I really saw YouTube as something fun. It's funny because I was really proud of what I did on YouTube, but I was also really like shy and embarrassed with sharing it with people that I actually knew in real life. I would upload it and I'd have this sense of pride and I'd get comments and I would feel so proud of that work. But then when I would go to drop off my kids at preschool, I would like hope no one saw it.
Yeah.
It took a while for me to get
in real life.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And so you said something happened. Was there anything specific that happened at the point where you decided, hey, I'm actually going to take this more seriously?
Yeah, so I had been doing it. I was kind of looking back at my videos when that happened. And I remember specifically the video, but I was trying to look at my timeline. So I was I was doing YouTube for about 2.5 years, and I decided to take a little bit of a break. I think this was at the end of like 2016, maybe November, December. I just was, I had actually ended up going back to work outside of the house. So I was a stay-at-home mom when I started it, and then I decided to go back to work. So now I had a job outside of the house. I had 2 kids, and it was just like, I was just stretched, crazy. And I remember I was also like, I was consuming a lot more videos than I was creating. And I found myself like always wanting to shop. And I just felt like I was kind of like entering like dangerous territory. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but I took a couple of months off thinking no one's going to notice or care. And then after a few months, I started getting comments from subscribers that were like, where are you? Are you okay? We miss you. And I don't know. At the time, it seemed like hundreds of subscribers, but it was probably like a dozen of them.
Yeah.
You know what I
They
mean?
were
It was just really,
it
it was really, really touching. And it made me realize that like people did care about the content I was creating. And I decided to, it was funny because my first video back after like 3 months, I think it was titled something like Where I've Been or something like that. And I talk about like that little funk that I was in. I've gone through a few of them, but that was probably the one that kept me away from YouTube the most. And I decided to come back and I said, I'm going to upload. I think I committed to like 1 video every single week. And maybe 2 months after doing that, I uploaded a video and it was titled the best foundation for mature skin or something like that. And I shared, having been a makeup artist doing weddings, I was always doing makeup on the grandmothers, the mothers, the brides, the bridesmaids, women of all ages. And where is it?
My favorite foundations for mature skin.
That's it. Yep. And when that video went up, I started gaining a lot of subscribers, a lot of views. And I had gone from maybe 10 new subscribers a day to all of a sudden I was getting like 250 subscribers a day. And that really, I decided to kind of, that helped me identify my kind of niche in my audience. And even though, I'm in my mid 30s, some might say that's not really mature skin, but at the same time, I'm like, my skin's changing, people. Like it's not 25-year-old skin. But I was really coming from the angle of being a makeup artist and knowing what foundations and what products work best on women of all, skin of all ages. And so when I kind of narrowed in on that being my what made me different, I kind of started uploading more content, and then I started to steadily see my channel grow and grow.
Okay.
And then, and then I guess it was a full year later that I think the video that really set my channel in a different direction was my Mac training secrets. There it is right there. I was pulling my numbers because I wanted to kind of see actually what that channel did. So when I uploaded that video, I had been on YouTube for 4.5 years. And before that video went up, I think I had like 60,000 subscribers. Okay. After 4.5 years, I had 60,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And then that video is 10 months old. So from 10 months, I went from like 60,000 to 140,000 subscribers now.
Yeah.
So that video was really, it just, it showed me that people want to, they really liked, and in that video, if you watch that video, I really broke it down, and I explained like color theory and why we contour and highlight in certain ways, like how the light affects makeup and how it affects like the dimension of the face. Like I really broke it down. So I think that that really helped my channel a lot.
Yeah. So when how many views? So that's like, a little over 400,000 views. Is that the highest viewed video on your channel? Oh no, you have the blow dryer one. Yeah. Wow, that has 800,000 views. Did you, so you didn't see as much of a jump with that one, even though that has twice as many views as the Mac Training Secrets?
No, the Revlon video is, I continue to get views to my channel from that video. That video particularly I didn't expect that to do so well. So if you watch it, the lighting's not so great. I mean, if I would have known I would have gotten the views that I did, I probably would have, done a better job.
Yeah.
I think that people were just like researching that product and that's why it gets so many views, but I don't necessarily know that when people watch that, they want to come back to my channel.
It converts to subscribers.
Totally.
Yeah. I know it is interesting that sometimes, a video that does well, like that, like your Mac Training Secrets, it's so powerful in kind of shifting your channel versus like another one that does twice as well, like 800,000 subscribers. It just does okay. And it is really interesting how sometimes certain videos that go viral can really affect your channel and other times it doesn't.
Totally. Yeah. It was, but that Mac Training Secrets revealed when I had that thought and that idea. I mean, it was like the light bulb went off for me. I remember thinking, I'm going to do this video. And I busted out my old Mac training manual. So when I was a trainer, I used to train every new hire in my region would come to a week-long training that I would host. And we had what we called the Mac Bible, which is like this thick Mac Bible. And I busted that out and I was looking and I was taking notes on what I wanted to share in my video. And I actually ended up making it a series. I think I did 4 or 5 videos. So I took pieces from that manual and created training, in these videos. Yeah. And I knew when I created that video that this had a lot of potential. So I put in a lot more effort.
So there was definitely more strategy going into that particular video when you created it.
For sure. For sure.
And then at that point, so you started to see a lot more progress with your channel in regards to growth and all that. And so what else did you change?
I think just focusing more on realizing that was my niche or what made me different and special. I think that, being in the beauty community, there's a lot of, I don't want to say competition because I don't really feel like it's competition, but you want to stand out. And I'm in this weird age, I feel like, where I am, I'll be 37 in a couple of months. And I feel like I'm too old for the really younger people that are on YouTube watching, the younger channels, but I don't quite have the credibility as the more mature. I think having that makeup artist background definitely helps with that. But I always felt like I was just kind of in this weird place. And I feel like women my age are so busy with little kids that they're really not watching a lot of YouTube.
That's true.
Some are. I mean, of course, that's a blanket statement. But I think overall, it's a busy time. And I don't even think my friends watch my channel. And so but I saw that, hey, you've got something special here. You have this background as a Mac trainer. You're gonna share that. That's what's gonna make you stand out. So that's probably what I changed. I mean, of course, not every video that I upload is like that, but I try to sprinkle those videos in. I try not to go too long without a really good makeup educational video.
And so who you're finding is your audience then?
It's pretty, surprisingly pretty evenly split. Like, I think definitely women, of course, but, it's probably a third, 25, 35, 35, 45, and then, 45. I have women in their 50s and 60s that watch my channel. If I had to think about like the subscribers that are most, that comment on my videos and that I go back and forth with on Instagram a lot, it's probably women a little bit older than me.
Interesting. So it's pretty, it sounds like it's very evenly split, because even though you're in that in between age, like you said, it sounds like it's not like it's predominantly people in your age bracket or younger or older. It's just kind of evenly split. But the women that are a little bit on the older side, 45, 50 plus, are really, really engaged to your content.
Yes, and I create content for them. I do a lot of, and again, I speak with that makeup artist background that, this is the foundation I would pack in my kit to use on, grandmothers of the bride or mothers of the bride. Like, I know that. And working at MAC, you work on hundreds of faces. I mean, you're just, anyone that comes to the counter, you sit down and work on. So having that experience has really helped me a lot.
Yeah. So how do you come up with your video topics?
I'll ask. I have a Facebook group community. It's like a private Facebook group page. And it's like, I feel like it's the best place on the internet because it is just a group of women that are all passionate about makeup, super supportive. So I'll kind of pull in there what they want me to do videos on Instagram. And then honestly, kind of, I try and think of something like a makeup theory that we all do, but maybe no one's ever told us why we do that. Like contouring and highlighting, for example. I think we all like watch a video on how to contour, but do we talk about like matte versus shimmer and how light reflects matte versus shimmer, how light hits the face and how where you should highlight based on where the light hits the face, the high planes. Like I try and think of a makeup theory and how can I make it very easy to digest and understand, basically so that people don't really have to rely on a video every time they want to do their makeup. They kind of know the why behind it, so they can empower themselves to create their own looks.
Yeah, I like that. Obviously, it's resonating with people, because are those the types of videos that tend to do the best on your channel, those kind of makeup theory technique type videos?
Yeah, those drugstore videos, any videos that are like top 10 or top 7, those type of videos do really well too.
Do you find with the beauty kind of community on YouTube, I mean, it's like it feels like there's like so many more and more creators coming on board with just a lot on beauty. How do you stand out? Like, have you found that to be a challenge at all, or like how do you deal with kind of this very saturated industry and standing out?
That's a good question. So definitely kind of owning and wearing that as a badge on my sleeve about my history as working for MAC and being a trainer. It's funny because I really did not share that too much until a year ago. I've been on YouTube for 5.5 years, and I might have mentioned it in a video, but I never like confidently owned that. Yeah, I never did. And it really does give so much credibility, and why I waited so long to kind of figure that out, I still don't know. But that is how I stand out, I think. And then I also would say, like, in the beginning, I was lost. Like, and if you watch my earlier videos, they're very different than they are now. I feel like I was really uncomfortable, and I was just trying to kind of emulate what I was seeing in the channels that I was watching, which were the bigger, younger channels. And it wasn't authentic to who I was. And now I'm just myself, and the way I see it is like, I really want a community that enjoys the personality that I am and enjoys my content. And I'm not trying to really, I like to continually grow, but I'm not trying to be something that is not authentic to who I am, just to gain a lot of subscribers really fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so important. I know a lot of people say kind of the same thing that you do, especially in beauty, is that, when I first started, I was just kind of like looking at what everybody else was doing, and I tried to do the same thing, and it's just like, it just didn't work, and things didn't change until I really came into myself and became myself on YouTube.
Totally. It's so true.
Yeah. No,
That is
I
so
mean,
true.
it is. And so when you're coming up with your video topics and, well, actually, no, let me ask you something else. So in that same, vein is, what about the whole like concept of, trending and trending in beauty and all that stuff? Do you find yourself, trying to do some of those videos sometimes or not, or do you kind of ignore it and do your own thing, or what's your approach there?
I guess I would probably say I ignore it.
Oh, really?
And I mean, I don't know if that's the right answer, but it's the truth.
Yeah. There's
I
no
mean,
right or wrong answer.
I know, but as far as like advice, right, to people that are interested in starting YouTube, I think that for me, it depends. I take that back. It depends. If there's something trending on YouTube that I think fits with my channel and that feels right, I will do it. But like for example, here's a great example of the assumptions tag that went around. I don't know if you remember that. It was earlier this year or last year with the assumptions tag. And I considered doing it, and I asked my audience if they wanted to see it. And I remember I got a lot of feedback saying, no, that's just like sharing negative comments from your YouTube, your audience about you, and your channel's not negative. And I thought, yeah, like it's not really, I don't really need to do that. And so that's the thing. Like if it feels like a video that I really want to do and it fits in my channel, yes. If it feels like, no, I'm just doing this to get on the trending or list or get more views, then no, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. So do you pay attention to things like your analytics, SEO, all that stuff? Is that something that you pay attention to for your videos?
I do, for sure. Yeah. I do have TubeBuddy integrated. I like pay for the monthly thing. So that kind of helps me see, and I kind of just look green or red,
Yeah.
am I growing or am I decreasing in views and subs and all of that. But so yeah, I do. That's kind of the extent that it goes. I'll get on Social Blade too and kind of look, and I feel like I have a good grasp on my channel now and what kind of content people like to see. So I know if I upload a video, if it's going to be one that is going to do really well, or if it's one that I know it's probably not going to do as well as the others. Like I kind of know that ahead of time now, I feel like after 5 years.
Yeah. Have you ever had a video, well, both of them, have you ever had a video that you thought was going to do really well, just kind of flop? And opposite, have you ever had a video that you're like, I don't think anyone's going to watch this, and then it ends up taking off?
Oh, I'm sure. Gosh, I would probably have to think about more about that, but I'm sure. But when I think about like videos that don't really get a whole lot of views, it's like anytime I stray away from beauty, they don't get a lot of views. But I don't do them very often, and when I do them, I get a lot of great feedback from the people that do watch them. So, and I go back and forth with this because it's like, I worked outside of the house. I started YouTube as a stay-at-home mom. I went back to work for a little while, and then I made that shift from, replacing my outside of the home income with YouTube. And that was, it'll be 2 years this January. Okay. And I remember when I made that switch, I started getting more concerned with growth and numbers and, how am I going to just grow? And I realized that there's content I feel like that can really help your channel grow. And there's content, it's like, it's like a delicate balance of serving the audience that you have and the content that they want to see, and then creating content that's going to get a lot of views and get a lot of subscribers. And I kind of lean more on creating content that serves the people that I have now and growing maybe a little bit slower than trying to create videos that I think are just going to get a ton of views and get me a ton of new subscribers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And it's true. There is that, you kind of have to figure, okay, and YouTube calls it, hub content, that it's like content that your subscribers want. It's like pretty easy to create. They want it. It's something repeatable. And then, they call it hero content. It's something that you like take more time to figure out. Maybe it's a little bit more production. It's gonna reach beyond your initial subscribers. And there is like a delicate balance because you want to, I'm sure you have a tremendous, amount of respect and love for your subscribers, and you always want to be serving them. But at the same time, if you kind of get stuck there, then you don't see that growth.
Sure. Yeah. For sure. And it's a delicate balance too with like, and every channel's different, right? I love some channels that are more highly produced and that create that really like kind of viral content, or maybe not viral, but the kind of content that gets, you know, a ton of views. I love channels like that. And I learn and I watch and I see what I like. But I think for my personal channel, it's just I didn't really start out that way. And I've been on here for so long that I've just established myself a certain way that I don't want to stray too far from that. You know, I want to improve my content a little bit. I mean, not a little bit, but I want to improve the quality of my videos a bit, but I don't want to go too far. I want it to still feel like people are hanging out with me, you know,
So what happened 2 years ago when you decided to, sounds like you quit your job and focus on YouTube? So let's talk a little bit about that. Like what happened in that moment, like where were you at numbers wise, and what made you make that decision?
So I had been back at work for probably 2 years. So I'd gone back to work and I was working for about 2 years, and, you know, my YouTube was growing and I was finally starting to monetize. So I was on YouTube for a little over 3 years and I didn't make a single penny. Did I just say penny?
You didn't make a penny or a penny.
Emphasize that word. Yeah. I didn't make a single penny for over 3 years. And really it was just because I was just naive and I didn't really see the opportunity in front of me, and I didn't have a lot of time. So adding time to link and all that just wasn't happening. And when I decided to start being more strategic and committing to upload that, you know, regularly, I was like, okay, you're going to take the extra time, Lisa, and you're going to start doing this. And I was pretty shocked. Within about 6 or 7 months, you know, I started making enough to be like, okay, there's something here. This could be a legitimate business for me to replace my job, which would have been great because I was a mom to 2 little kids. I was working outside of the house. I was doing YouTube. I mean, I was just stretched really thin. And I'll never forget, I was actually sitting in a talk with Brene Brown. Brene Brown was the event that I was at. And she was telling her story, and it just resonated so much with me because while I may not be an author and like a TED speaker like she was, I was like, that is me. That is how I feel. And I just looked at my husband. I was like, I have to do this. And at the time I was probably making, so when I was working, I was making a certain amount of money, but then I was also paying for childcare. Right.
Yes.
And so at the time with YouTube, I was probably making just under what I was taking home after paying for childcare. So it was like real close. It was scary. And it was like really close, calling it really close. And it was like in my head, okay, what are we going to give up? What can I do to make this happen? And I told my boss. I stuck around for like 4 months until he could replace me. And then I left at the end of January of 2018. And I went through this weird transition that I didn't expect to go through. I didn't see it coming because, you know, up until that point, it was YouTube. There was no expectation on myself. There was no pressure. It was fun. It was just like, what am I going to film? It was a total hobby. And it was just like, okay, what am I going to film today? Let me think. Okay, let's do this. Like it's kind of silly to say that now, but it's the truth. And then now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I just quit my job and I got to do this. Like, I need to, you know, treat this more like a business, and I need to plan my content. I need to like put more expectation on myself. I need to be doing 3 videos a week, and I need to, and about 6 months into that, I kind of went through another little funk where I was really searching for what was going to fulfill me. You know, I didn't want to be super number focused because that really wasn't fulfilling me. It was, it wasn't. And I really feel like if you follow what your passion is and you put out content that you are like proud of and passionate about, you're not just thinking about numbers or affiliate link earnings or all of that. You're not thinking about that. If you'll create good content and the rest of that will follow.
Yeah.
But totally. But it took me a little while. For a little while, I was kind of focused on the other stuff, and I just went through a funk, and I'm like, this isn't as fun as it used to be. And anyway, and then that kind of launched me into thinking about my brand. But yeah, that was kind of course of last year.
So so that's interesting. Like you were on YouTube for 3 years and didn't make a cent, which is crazy. No AdSense or just a little bit of AdSense?
A little bit. I mean, maybe a couple $100 a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then But then you did at some point realize, okay, let me take it a little bit more seriously. So was it that you started working with brands, affiliates, or what were you doing so that you were able to get to the point where you were able to quit your job?
So it first started with affiliate links. I actually applied and got accepted to Reward Style. Yeah, but I wasn't using it. I didn't use it for like 4 or 5 months. I didn't grab a single link off of it because I didn't have blogger friends really. I didn't really know the opportunity. And I'll remember I got an email from Reward Style that said, hey, we're going to cancel your membership, or we're going to deactivate your account if you don't start using it. And I was like, oh, well, I better use it. So I remember grabbing a link to a pair of jeans that I just bought, and I posted it on my personal Facebook page. So not like my Lisa J Makeup. I was literally sharing it with my family and my friends on Facebook. And I remember 20 of the moms in my neighborhood bought those jeans. And then I saw the potential. I was like, oh, what am I doing? So then I started taking the time. And so affiliate links were really kind of that first stream of income that came in for me, were affiliate links, because it was easy, because I was already talking about products I loved. Why I wasn't taking that extra 20 minutes to grab links and make it easier for the viewer, and also, earn a commission on that. And then slowly I started getting approached by brands, and that was very inconsistent for a while. It was really affiliate links that were kind of what was making up like 80% of my income at the time. And then now I would say it's pretty probably evenly split between affiliate links and sponsored content. And then my ad revenue has increased,
with the more views and subscribers.
Now it's definitely more consistent, and there's still months that are up and down, but I feel like the base is very, consistent and reliable.
Yeah, that's great. And so you mentioned a little bit, after you quit, you had that funk, a funk about 6 months later where you're like, I don't know, I'm focusing too much on the numbers. But then you said that eventually led to your brand. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and how that transpired?
Sure. So during that funk, it was just a little over a year ago. I remember it was the summer of last year, and it was about 6 or 8 weeks of that, of just like this uncertainty. And I've always had like, little businesses, and always had that like entrepreneurial spirit about me. And my husband has a background in marketing and all of that, and e-commerce. And I just started thinking long term. I was like, I was like kind of searching for what was going to fulfill me. What was I going to use this? I had built this platform up over 5 years, and at the time I was using it for what? And what was I going to want to do in 10 years? Like, how was I going to sustain this? Because I kind of think about that too. I'm like, this is great now, but is this going to be the same in 5 years or 10 years? I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty, I feel like. And so my husband, Paul, kind of started talking about the idea of a product. And so if you know anything about BK Beauty, the heart of our brand is kind of inspiring kindness. And it's taking the beauty community and celebrating like the glam of the beauty community, but also talking about inner beauty and kindness. And as a mom, I had this conflict of like, I love makeup. I love it, obviously. I've been passionate about it since I was a kid, and it's where my career has taken me. But as a mom now, I'm like, what message am I sending my daughters about beauty? Am I showing them that, oh, you're beautiful if you can put makeup on? No, I don't want to teach them that. I want to tell them that there's more to that. So the heart of our brand is giving back to the Kindness Campaign, which is a nonprofit that creates curriculum in schools, so K through 12th grade. And they create these journals that teaches kids about social emotional awareness and self-confidence and self-esteem. And it's really like kind of an anti-bullying effort. So, I wanted to create a beauty brand that gave back and that had a kind of a bigger mission than just makeup. So that's what BK Beauty.
So BK Beauty, so what is it exactly?
So right now we have a set of 9 brushes, but we are expanding. We'll have 11 in November, and then we'll be adding about 3 or 5 early next year, and then we're going to move into cosmetics. So we started with makeup brushes because I feel like, and I've said this in past videos, that the makeup brushes that you use have such a important factor in how your makeup looks. I feel like you can be the best makeup artist in the world, but if you have terrible makeup brushes, then you're limited on what you can do. And on the other side of that, you can be just starting out in makeup, but if you have good brushes that make it easy, and that give you a good blend, you can create beautiful work. So we started with makeup brushes, but we will definitely be expanding.
When did you launch the line?
August 1st. So 3 months ago.
This year.
Just now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, so how did the launch go? Like, and how did you launch it? How did you announce it to your subscribers? Like, how did all that go?
So I actually announced it in January of this year. And I basically just announced that, I was working on a brand. We came out with t-shirts that say BK, and it says Beauty plus Kindness. And I announced like the mission of our brand and giving back to the kindness campaign. And I just told people like, we're working on something bigger. Stay tuned. This was like 8 months before we actually had a product to sell. And then, I kind of took my viewers along. Like I would share things throughout those next 8 months of, not too much, but I would just keep them updated that we were still, working on it and we were going to be launching. And then about 2 weeks before we launched, we started pre-selling brushes, and I didn't know what to expect. I really had no idea, and we exceeded any expectations that I think either of my husband or I had. And we sold out in 5 weeks, and we made our first donation to the kindness campaign after 3 weeks, which sponsored 84 schools to receive the curriculum.
Wow.
And we're actually going tomorrow. I'm going to be going to some schools here in Austin and delivering the journals to the kids. And it's pretty cool.
Wow, that's really amazing. So you announced it on your
YouTube
channel?
Yeah.
Okay. In a video, and then you said within 3 weeks you sold out of that first kind of.
So it took us 5 weeks to sell out of
5 weeks.
everything.
You said. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we made our donation after 3.
Oh, that's it. That was a 3. Okay. Wow. So then at that point when you sold out, what did you do? You just kind of ordered another batch? Did you kind of reassess and take a look at everything?
Yeah, so we're actually still sold out. It takes like 8 to 12 weeks to have products produced, and yeah, and because it was basically my savings. I'd been saving all this income that I was earning. It was that like we were pretty conservative with our first run because I didn't know, and I just thought, well, this is scary. I'm writing this big check, and I'm kind of nervous about it. And now we know we can hopefully manage inventory better. So we did double our order. So we should receive that in about a little less than a month. So we still have on the site, people can still order, and we're taking back orders. And so the back orders will be the first to ship when we get our fulfillment in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's the thing with a physical product. It's amazing. And that's the thing. It's like on YouTube, the way to make money is by having your own product, selling something. You have complete control over it, right? Yes, AdSense is great. Working with brands is great, but having something of your own is, I think, even better. But a physical product, the only, I don't want to say, it's not, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like the only kind of like the real barrier to entry with that is that it usually takes up a good amount of startup capital at the beginning. Yeah. And so it's like you gotta, where are your brushes manufactured? Are they?
They're made in China. Yeah.
So how did you come up with that whole process? Did you work with a company? Did you go over there? I know I'm always interested in this process because I used to have a line, a clothing line, but so I'm in that. I was in that manufacturing world for a while. It was interesting. We manufactured both here, and then we tried doing the China thing, and it's really interesting. But I'm curious, kind of your process with that, with makeup brushes.
Yeah, so we did a lot of research. We met and spoke with a lot of different contract manufacturers that are basically like kind of a liaison between us and China that have relationships with factories all over the world. And so they helped us, they kind of held our hand and walked us through that process. So we worked with them to design the brushes, and they really help with all the quality control. And, it's kind of scary, I mean, there's a lot of risk involved for sure. So we worked with a US based company, and then they're our liaison on helping us facilitate all of that. But yeah, it was a very interesting process. It's a long process. We're excited. We're looking at, expanding into cosmetics, and I'm just really excited about making that first donation to the kindness campaign. I get really excited thinking about what that's going to look like in a year,
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, having a brand with a mission behind it, some kind of a charity like association with it. It just makes it so important today because it's like you want to have a mission behind your brand. It's not just like, oh, I have another set of brushes, here you go. Like having a mission, especially something like that, which is tied to the idea of beauty. I've never heard of that charity before, but it just sounds like such a beautiful charity. Like I love that. I think it's wonderful.
It for me, it hits like all the things that pull at my heart, like I'm a mom. I have two girls, and I know moms of boys have the same concern too. I'm not discrediting that, but I worried about being on YouTube and, I wanted my daughters to know that yes, mommy loves makeup and mommy teaches women how to put on makeup, but there's the true beauty is a lot deeper than that. And then the anti-bullying part with the kindness campaign, it's like, I'm terrified of my kids being on social media. Terrified. They're not there yet. They're 7 and 5.
I think about that all the time, and it's actually something that I genuinely lose sleep over. It's not.
Me too.
I think it's mine are so little, and I'm like, it's not going to be for a few years, but I can't even imagine where it's going to be there. I find it terrifying as well.
It is. It really is scary. And I'm 36 years old, and I'm confident and secure with myself, but sometimes I get bullied online under my videos. And I'm shocked with how it affects me, having the sense that I have, knowing that person clearly is not happy. I'm happy. I don't need to let that affect me. It still sometimes affects me. So when I think about a 16-year-old girl getting comments on, it's just like, so the kindness campaign, their whole mission is really centered around anti-bullying. You are enough, you are beautiful, you are, self-esteem, confidence. It's giving kids the tools to navigate through those crazy, scary years of being a teenager on social media. So it was just like a perfect fit. So yeah, they're based here in Austin, but they are national now. They're expanding nationally. So if you actually saw The Lion King in any AMC theater, they have a PSA that's pretty powerful. So this year they're launching nationally, and I think it's pretty cool because I feel like we could help facilitate that, with the funds we give. So
yeah, that's so amazing because it's having your own brand. That's incredible for you to be able to support yourself financially, but also having this component of a charity that you're really passionate about is something you can kind of really, rally behind. And how did your audience respond in their, in both ways? How did they respond to you having your own brand? Were they supportive? I mean, obviously you sold out, but how did they respond there? And then same thing, how did they respond with that whole charity component as well?
So super supportive. I knew that I had a really incredible supportive audience just from the Facebook group page and the comments that I always get and the messages I get. I knew that audience is amazing. But to be honest, you don't really know the depth of that support until, when we launched, we only launched with, you could only purchase a full set for the pre-sale. You could only purchase an eye set or a face set or a full set. We weren't selling individual brushes yet. And I was really concerned with, asking, I don't know. I just thought that was a lot of money to ask from someone. I was really I expected that a third or a fourth of the support we got was going to come through, and I would have been happy with that. We had orders from Madagascar, from Hong Kong, it was just nuts. And the messages that I was getting were really just tear-jerking messages. It was really, really, really awesome. And I think the beauty, kindness, and the mission behind it really touches a lot of women that are watching my channel because they're moms. A lot of them are moms and grandmothers, and they have young kids or young grandchildren. Yeah, and they feel they have that same concern about it that I do.
Yeah, so. Yeah. It's so true. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the interview, and I have what I like to call the Power Hour segment. So these are questions that I ask every single person that comes on the show. So you just kind of respond with your first thought. So first question, yes. What would you say are the defining moments of your YouTube career?
Defining moments: my mature makeup skin video and my MAC training secrets reveal video for sure.
What is the hardest part for you about being a YouTube influencer?
I guess the hardest thing, you want a quick answer? Maybe the criticism, I don't know, but I don't really feel like I get a lot of that. I don't really know. I don't feel like there's a really something that stands out to me. The hardest thing. I don't know. I'm sorry.
And nothing that you struggle with?
I think that's the only negative thing are the very few like really terrible comments that I've gotten. I can take that you look old or you look this or you look that, but when you're said, other things, that's hard for me.
Yeah. If you were to get started today, what would you have done differently?
I would have really honed in on my mission and what I wanted my channel to be about, and planned my content to really center around that. And I probably would have started using affiliate links much sooner and just learning the other side to monetizing the channel, for sure.
What would you say? What do you say your mission is now?
To create educational content, and really that be the core of my channel is simple, teaching women how to achieve glamorous makeup without 10 steps that they can recreate. Something easy, wearable, but glamorous.
What are you most proud of when it comes to your YouTube channel?
My community, probably. I feel like, I'll be honest, when I started watching YouTube videos, I would watch people say, like, I love you guys, I love you, I'm married. And I remember thinking, I'm a kind of a private person. And I remember seeing that thinking, how do you love someone that you don't know? And then now I'm like, I love you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I expect to make the deep personal connection to people online through my videos that I have made. I thought I was just going to upload makeup videos and keep everything else here. And I have opened up more and I've made deeper connections than that's the most surprising, but most rewarding by far.
So being a private person, how do you handle that? Like, do you have certain boundaries of certain things you just kind of don't talk about? Yeah. At the same time, YouTube is all about being vulnerable and authentic and all that. So how do you handle that?
I walk that line? That's a good question. I feel like I'm always struggling with that. So my kids are not on YouTube very much. They have been in one video, I think, where they did my makeup. And I remember when that video went up, I remember thinking, if I get one mean comment about my children, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
So I don't share them on YouTube. I thought about doing vlogs at one point, but I decided not to. I know my audience, they love to see my kids and they're so sweet and stuff, but I feel like it can be the Wild West on YouTube, and I just don't want to share them on YouTube. On Instagram, I'll share them in stories some, and they'll be in the occasional post, but that's my boundary right there, my family, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about YouTube, what would it be?
The clickbait videos, I guess. I don't know. That's the first thing that stands out to me. The clickbait videos are the videos that just breed like negativity, the gossip channels maybe.
Yeah, in the beauty community, there's a lot of those gossip channels.
The videos that are just created to like piggyback or jump on the negative train, and at the expense of somebody, it's just not right.
Yeah. What has been the biggest mistake you've made in your YouTube career?
Probably taking so long to really understand and educate myself on it. I think about that often though. And truth be told, it wasn't the right time for me I was pregnant. I was having 2 young kids. I was working outside the house. There wasn't enough in me to spend that extra time learning and researching and learning how to turn this into a business. So I don't have any regrets that it took me so long. But when someone comes to me now and asks for advice, that's the advice that I give, is like how to just kind of be more strategic, how to create content that's going to grow a little faster than I did, and how to, and share everything I learned later, share that with them early.
What is the best decision you've made about your YouTube channel so far?
Going full time with it. It was scary, but it's been a little less than 2 years, and I never would have imagined that I'd be doing what I'm doing now, and where I have the opportunities that I've had. I just think taking that risk definitely was the best thing I ever did.
What were you doing for work at your full-time job?
So I was in sales. I sold for, before I had my daughter, I was in TV sales. So I sold for a local NBC and CBS affiliate advertising commercials. And then I worked in radio sales. When I went back to work, I was selling radio advertising. So all the commercials you hear on the radio, those were my clients.
Got it. What is the best opportunity you've had as a result of your YouTube channel?
The best opportunity, aside from BK Beauty, because that's kind of the easy, obvious for me, I would say the best opportunity, and this is just fresh on my mind, but it's probably the coolest, funnest thing I've done. I just got back a couple weeks ago. I went on a trip to Miami with the brand Venus, which is a brand that I've been working with since very early on. They were probably my first advertiser that was kind of like that next level for me. And they've been with me ever since.
The
clothing. No,
Venus,
the clothing line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the catalogs and the swimsuits and And so they invited me to participate in this video project that hasn't come out yet. It'll come out maybe by the time this is up, it'll be out, but it's for their holiday collection. And it was just a fun video that we created, super fun. It was in a studio. We had a director and makeup and hair, and I just felt like it was just kind of cool. I was like, this is so cool. Like I'm doing, it was fun.
That's really cool. That's really, really fun. Do you have like a few really close, like good brand relationships? I noticed that on I think your videos or your Instagram, you talk a lot about Kendra Scott. Is that a sponsor that you work with a lot?
Yes. And that's definitely a favorite of mine. She's I'm in Austin. Yeah. Kendra Scott was started here in Austin, and she's super inspiring. I don't know if you know her story, but I mean, her story is just incredible. I've heard it a few times, and that's a great brand relationship. I have a great relationship with Venus and some other Nordstrom and Colleen Rothschild, a skincare brand I work with a lot.
How did those relationships come about? Do you have a manager that you work with, or is it something you just kind of do yourself?
Yeah, so most of the brand sponsorships that I have now are through Reward Style. So they're brought to me through Reward Style. And then, and it's not great because the way they make that connection is they basically take retailers that you're already linking to that I'm speaking about organically and I truly love, and they're coming to you with, sponsored. So it's very, very authentic and organic. And then Venus just reached out to me through, I want to say the first platform was Tap Influence, but now we go through another one. So it's like a third party online platform. And then Kendra Scott was just a local reach out. Their PR person directly reached out to me. And so it's been really cool to work with them.
That's cool. So with Reward Style, basically they're seeing the conversion of your links. If there's like a certain store that's converting really well, like maybe that store hears about you and then they want to reach out. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, I think that's probably how they track it. They see who's converting a lot to those retailers, and then reach out to them with branded content.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And last question, what is your YouTube superpower? Meaning, what is it about you that comes naturally that has contributed to your success on YouTube?
Definitely teaching. I love teaching. If you watch any of those Mac training videos, those are probably what I'm most proud of. Especially that first one. I just love. And I remember when I was at Mac and I went to trainer school, I was hired as a trainer, and which you have to be able to do makeup to do that, but you also have to be able to teach makeup. And I remember to this training academy, and they literally taught me how to teach makeup to people that are brand new that have never picked up a makeup brush. And that's what Mac's whole heart was back then. That was a long time ago, so I don't know if things have changed, but I think that's my superpower.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I love. That's what makes me feel like,
alive on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, it's reflected in your videos because those by your audience, because those tend to have the most views.
Yeah. So. Yeah. They that's definitely what they like from me. They want to see more of.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I'm really excited for the giveaways. So if you guys want to kind of check out the rules and everything, look in the description in the YouTube channel. And Lisa, where can people find you if they're not familiar? They've been listening to you for an hour and they're like, I got to check her out. I got to check out her brushes, all that stuff. Where can people find you?
So real easy. I'm Lisa J Makeup on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And then our company is bkbeauty.com. BK Beauty. Awesome. It stands for Beauty Kindness. .com.
I love it. I love the mission behind your beauty brand. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. I've been listening to your podcast for years. So when I got that email, I was like,
Oh my God, I love that. I love it when people tell me like, I've been listening to you forever. So
yeah.
thank you. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.